What are some of the most scary words a project manager can hear? Let's design this by committee. Design by committee can be a good thing. I mean, design thinking works, right? And workshops to design anything related to user journeys or personas work. We know that. But when it comes to continuous design by committee, that can be scary because essentially it allows your advisory group to continue the conversation with your project team about what they want, how it should look, how it should behave. And this can create a Pandora's box of unintended consequences, poorly designed additions, and a system that just doesn't work. So you don't want that, but you do want an engaged user population. Are you looking to protect your solution with a users group? This can be called a users forum, an advisory group, a user design team, whatever you want to call it. This is a group that stands slightly outside of the project team or department and helps them make sure not only that the design is fit for purpose and sustainable beyond go live, but also that they themselves are managing stakeholder requests. And this can help projects stay on scope, time, and budget. How do you go from out-of-control requests from users to a formalized process of holistic review of all changes and an approval process to indicate which ones should go forward and how? Well, let me take you through my 3-step process, and at the end I'm going to give you 3 practical tips on things you need to make sure every user group knows. So first of all, what are the benefits of the users group? And don't make notes because all this is written in my blog. The link is below, so check it out. Users groups can do the following. They can encourage accountability of the users to the design. They can align change requests to the overall design structure, the end-to-end design of the product. It can avoid continuous rework, and it supplies solution lifecycle oversight. Next, when do you create a users group? Well, optimally at the start of the project. During the first design workshop, you would also be kicking off a users group, announcing the members and letting everyone know the users group will be part of the team going forward. Standing outside as an advisory group, and you know, I did a video, all kinds of videos recently actually, on governance models, including one about how to create the right governance model for your project. I'll put a link here and links below. What's another time you might want to start a users group? When you have a significant change in your user base, and that can be one of 2 things. You either have a change in your target market, who it is you're talking to, or you have an expansion of your user base. You may need to go out and create a new user group. Maybe you already have a user group working for one target audience, but you might want to create a second one for the new target audience. And of course, the third scenario for users groups is when it's all going wrong. Things are going pear-shaped. You've got a long list of bugs, a long list of new functionality. Those functionality changes don't necessarily interact with the whole very well. It's going to cause more problems in the future. You might want to say, stop, let's go on hold, let's go back into design. But when we do so, we're going to do it with our user group intact so they can own the process going forward and answer the questions along the way that we need to get in order to build the product as we're now defining it. Sometimes, politically, that's difficult to do, but your project will stay on track better in terms of time, cost, and scope if you do that. It's the hard one to do, but it may be the right one to do. So how do you get started with a users group? Well, I've got steps for that too. 1, define what you need. Define who needs to be in a users group and what you want them to do, what their scope and role is. You know, you don't want to just give them carte blanche. You want to give them some concrete objectives and individual roles on the project so that if there's a subject matter expert, they know that's why they're there. And if they're a process owner because they're a department lead, they know why they're there. Everyone should have a clear role as part of the decision-making process. Next, you want to optimize members, people who want to be there, have stake in the game, have the time to do it, and if you're working with external customers, you're going to need internal users who serve those customers to act as their advocate. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have customers in your users group, but they need to stand a little bit apart from the main group. And the reason why is because 1, they don't have a lot of time. 2, you don't want to show them all the messy how the sausage is made in the background stuff. You just want to ask them the particular questions of interest, get their feedback, and then interpret that into project or departmental documents. Don't waste your clients' time. Use their time effectively. Be ready when you have a question. The next thing is validation, making sure you've got the team in place and you know how to optimize them. And this also includes succession planning. So let's imagine you have a users group with 10 people. Those 10 people aren't going to want to stay through years and years to come. So you're going to need to have continuity where you bring on new people, make sure that they understand the roles and goals, and then others can roll off as they need to. But keeping some kind of continuity is very helpful, especially when it comes to understanding the past processes and how decisions were made and how it changed future processes. At least one person needs to be sort of the secretary to the group who has the information flow and understands where all that data sits. This will allow you to stop getting into a continuous circle of we changed it back, we changed it back. You don't want to do that. And then when you get your users group together, you want to start them right, whether that's at the launch of design, which is a great time, or another time. You want to make sure that they understand their roles, the work task, the scope, the timing, how often do they need to meet, what kind of documentation would they expect to have to review before they meet, and how do decisions get made. The users group advisory board might make a decision that the project team does not agree with. How do those things get resolved? And again, I suggest governance handles that. And lastly, related to what I've just discussed, you need to provide the frameworks. You need to build standard frameworks so that they always see the data in the same way, so they're not dealing with the process, they're dealing with the decisions. This will keep this group lean and mean and focused on executing, not necessarily deliberating over what am I looking at and how do I understand it. So what are the 3 things every user group needs to know? 1, how they work as a team, and how they're going to be onboarded and offboarded onto the process. And I've got a checklist for this, I'll show you here. And the second one is a meta review of the design. This is an overarching viewpoint so they understand how people, process, technology, user interface, data, etc. are all designed in so they can see holistically what the parts of the ecosystem are. Third thing is the data structure. Where is the data coming from? What's it being used for? Is its use being changed, and therefore is it mutating how the real data is meant to be used? That's not just a data privacy and protection issue, which it may be, by the way, but it also can be the fact that the system's not using the data in the right way, or when it shows up on the presentation, it's not in the right place that it's needed, even to the point where the fields aren't long enough to show all the information necessary for the user or customer to actually act on that information. So if you want to know more about user journeys, personas, or design thinking, check out this playlist. And if you want to know more about governance, check out this playlist. And I'll see you next time on ProjectSkillsMentor.com. Bye-bye, everybody.